Hey, everybody. Okay, so most of you know all the people sitting around this table. This is Aaron Shaw, this is Michelle Taylor, and this is Carol Cuswanto. They have all been working for me for the past year and a few months. Aaron, when did you start?
June 2017.
So I want to talk about making a living in music, and this is actually really great. These are all of them are in their early 20s. Aaron is the oldest, 23 or 24?
24 now.
24,
Yeah.
and they're both 20. They're both 22. And Michelle and Carol are not sisters, so we'll just put that out there.
We're not.
So I had an assistant, Ken Lanyon, that still works for me when I do production stuff, which is not very often. But this weekend, anybody that comes to my master class, which is on Saturday, you can still buy tickets for it. It's on the 21st, but you will meet Ken, or GL is his nickname. But Ken's been working for me for 18 years and has a similar background as these three. Well, a little bit different than Carol, but he has a degree from Full Sail in recording engineering that he got after he was out working in the field as a lab assistant. He has a degree in biology. So anyways, but I wanted to talk about this, about what people are faced with when they come out of college and trying to find a job in the music business. And I think it's important to have realistic expectations and just to hear some people's stories. So before one last thing, I have a discount code. Anything in my store is 20% off, and the discount code is RB719. Today's date, 7/19. It's for the next 24 hours. So I want to begin with Aaron, since just to let you know. So I really had no assistant. I had Rhett that most of you know that would come in occasionally, more as an intern when I first started my channel. But I was pretty much making my videos on my own and doing sessions at the time with Ken. But I was doing all of my YouTube work, which is my full-time job now, with no help at all. And then I was contacted by Aaron. You want to talk about that, Aaron?
Yeah, so in I think April of 2017, I was about to graduate with a degree in music production and engineering.
From Berkeley.
From Berkeley. And I was thinking about where to go next, and there was always this picture painted to people in our major that once you get out there, you're gonna have to, make coffee and clean studios for about 2 years until you can actually start recording or doing any kind
Sitting in sessions.
Right, sitting in sessions. And I just thought that didn't sound too appealing. And at the time, you had, 70,000 subscribers or so. And I just watched Rick's videos on film scoring, and I was mainly interested in all the composition stuff. And so I just thought I'd give it a shot. His email address was out there, and I just emailed him and asked if I could come down intern.
And I actually told Aaron, we did a Skype, and I said I actually don't hire people, assistants or anything like that, usually unless there's somebody that I know.
Right.
And I'm very big on referrals, or that's pretty much how people in the music business find other people to work for. Is you have to have somebody that will vouch for you. That this is a good person, they're a good worker, whatever it may be. And there's a specific skill set that I expect or that I need to work for me, which includes things like, well, I didn't know it at the time. Aaron has skills in obviously in what's that?
Coding.
In coding and things like that, but you have to have to work for me, I needed somebody that has very sophisticated ears, that knows a lot about harmony and music theory, and can do the transcription work or whatever it may be. There's obviously many different facets of this because I do music production. I talked to Aaron, and I realized that he was a super sharp kid, and I said, yeah. So he came down here under an assistantship, which you had to do for one semester. Is that correct?
It was more like
half a semester.
Yeah, like 2 months or so. Yeah.
And then I hired Aaron on to work here.
Yeah, I don't think it was a coincidence that you got somebody that you know, was into the kind of music that you were. I mean, that's what attracted me to your channel in the first place, was all the advanced harmony and stuff, just sounds that I really liked. But I realized in our Skype conversation that there was actually a lot of things that I could also help with, you know, like a lot of the internet work and
I hadn't updated my website in 4 years
yeah.
when Aaron got here, and Aaron built me a new website. And I mean, in addition to everything else he was doing, which actually led to what he's doing now. So after we were working for a couple months on this, I said I wanted to put up a couple courses, and we researched different sites to put them through and found this thing, teachable.com. But there's other things, Udemy, there's other ones.
Yeah.
So in our process of putting up these couple courses, I have this advanced harmonic concepts is one of them. Aaron looked at the site because he was the one that was actually putting up the PDFs and the videos and things like that. And I said, what do you think of this? And he said, oh, I could build a site far better than this. And I said, well, you should do that. And so Aaron then decided to go full-time, even though he's always been working, you know, here part-time. You see Aaron here and
Yeah.
doing videos all the time. He started his company, which is Flat 5. And why don't you tell people a little bit about that, and then it'll talk about how Michelle came into the picture.
Sure. I think part of how this whole thing started was just the same way how in the music industry you used to have to rely on labels to get you out there and stuff. Now with YouTube, Rick was able to build a following completely independent of, you know, some agent or manager or label. And the same way these sites like Udemy, they take 50% of your profit when you put up courses, just for the publicity, just for the traffic and the audience. But you already had the audience, so it just didn't seem to make sense to do it that way. And so the website that I built, Flat 5, that's FLATFIV. It was supposed to be for artists that don't want to, you know, they want to make money. They don't want to be ripped off. Just people that have skills and they want to share them with the world and sell courses on demand. And yeah, and that's what I built initially. It was mainly for Rick and myself, but I soon realized that it just makes sense to open it up to everyone. So
anyone out there can contact Aaron if they have if they have courses. Obviously, people that have a YouTube following, at least to a small degree, are people that it's going to be worth putting up courses, because if you have no one to sell things to, no one's going to buy anything. So it's actually just ends up being a waste of space. So for any of you that have a YouTube channel or some type of following on Instagram and have courses in teaching whatever instruments, you should contact Aaron and about having your courses have them sold on Flat 5.
yeah, just to make a side income for. I mean, we gotta figure out new ways to make money as an industry, as musicians who now have the internet available, and and there's so many people with great skills, but they essentially just stay in the practice rooms, and those skills go nowhere. Maybe they teach some private lessons, but they can't really make a living off of that. So this is the way. But I also wanted, somebody asked about. I'm sure you know is a great platform when it comes to just video quality, and all the videos are hosted through the Vimeo.
Is it working?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Looks like we're back.
Okay,
We're back. So, yes, I know this woman, Michelle, or girl, Michelle Taylor. Now, Michelle was actually, is also a graduate. They both graduated from Berkeley at the same time with the
Same
MP&E,
major.
same major. They're both music production majors. And Michelle was actually interning at a studio in Atlanta. Michelle, you want to talk about that?
So yeah, So I graduated from Berkeley May 2017, and then I secured the internship a few months before. So I know for sure that after I graduate, I'm gonna move to Atlanta. So all right, I moved to Atlanta, and then I started internship for a few months, and then, yep, that happened. The,
What's that?
that happened,
Tell
like-
us about it, Michelle.
Okay.
You want me to tell about it, Michelle? Okay, so wait, let me
Hold
just say,
on,
let me
let me
just say,
say it.
let me just say this. So Aaron is from Germany and Michelle and Carol are from Indonesia. So they all are here on visas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I started the internship, and then, well, I just sat down on the couch for the whole internship, and then
You got coffee for
I
people?
got coffee for people, I got food, and then
You clean the
I
bathrooms?
clean the bathroom, clean the windows and all that. And that's literally my everyday job. I'm not saying it's bad. They said that it's training my, my skills.
Okay, so just, I think this is outrageous that people take advantage of people. It's one thing to have an internship, but if you're gonna do an internship somewhere, you should do an internship where people actually teach you. That's the whole point of internships.
But they said that, it's useless to have people come into my session because you're not gonna copy the way I mix or the way I do sessions, but it's more valuable for you to just sit down and stare at what's going on in the studio, and that's when you learn. So you learn by
Observing.
But
observing,
were you actually even in the
getting
control
coffee,
room?
getting everything's right. So they're kind of saying if you can't get something right, like coffee runs, food runs, and all that, how can you get something right in the session? So they're kind of comparing these two, but I don't think that makes sense.
No, it's totally ridiculous. And I told Michelle that when she came here, that A, she was going to get paid, and B, she's immediately gonna start working, doing things. And Michelle's in videos, just like Carol was in my video from yesterday. Aaron was in videos. It wasn't just, there is no coffee. Have I ever had anyone just go get coffee, ever?
I
I go
just got,
together with you.
I
No,
just
we
got
all,
my coffee
we go
from
to, we just
Right.
went to Starbucks.
yeah.
Actually, I don't have people get coffee. I don't have people clean stuff. Well, they do sometimes on their own, but I don't make people do that.
I thought it was so interesting when I started talking to Michelle, because I realized she was in Atlanta too, and she was talking about having the exact experience that they were always telling us about. You
At
know?
Berkeley,
Yes, just
I think it might be because you guys are all on the internet too.
Should I just not
Yeah.
Okay.
bullshit?
All right.
Okay, continue.
Hi everyone. We're back. We're back. So yeah, that's what I thought. Like we're so used to the idea that in our major, the teacher will said that, okay, after you graduate, you need to internships for like 2 years, getting coffees and such, and then
But the reality of it is that you do internships for 2 years typically, and then you get out of the music business because your parents are typically, most people that have these degrees, their parents support them for a couple of years because there is no pay. So you can't live in a city with no money. And that's the reality of it, right?
And yeah, and also, well, at first I was like, okay, maybe it's just to train myself so I'll be a good assistant in the studio and all that. Maybe it's just to train my skills and all that. And after a few months later, I feel that, okay, this is kind of useless. But I learned something. I learned to be, I learned to get my shit together. But that's it. But yeah, like, it's just so tiring. I didn't realize that I have a degree, and Erin told me that, like, Michelle, come on, you have a degree from Berkeley.
Michelle really didn't, at first, didn't want to quit this gig that she was on, that she was not getting paid for, because they ingrain that in you at these music schools, these places that you get these degrees, that you're gonna go out and basically work for nothing for 2 years. That's just part of the thing, and that's the hook with a lot of programs. It's not just Berkeley, it's all, many of these programs. There's not that many jobs out there. You have to create your own opportunities. That's the real that's the part of the music business that I like to talk about on here. That's the real part of the music industry, is actually creating your own, whether it's creating your own audience, creating, you know,
Your own brand.
your own brand. You know, if you're gonna be if you wanna get into production, start producing things. That's how you do it. You don't get, you know, the days of going through, you know, working as an intern, that's what people used to do in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 60s, whatever.
And that's what these teachers know. That's-
Right.
Yeah, because they used to be in the business,
Yeah.
well, at the time. So yeah, well,
So then Michelle was here for,
donuts for the new people.
what's that?
Donuts for the new people.
Oh, thank you,
We're
Clay,
not the new
appreciate that.
people, But anyways.
So Michelle was here for what, 3-4 months, right?
Mhm.
And then she decided that she was going to go
Back to school.
back to school
For master's degree.
for a master's degree.
Because it's, yeah, so in case anyone don't know about this situation, so for us international students, we get 1 year optional post-training, practical training after we graduate. So it's a 1 year thing that you can work in your field, only in your field, for example, in music, whether becoming a music teacher, internship and all that for 1 year, and then after that,
You have to
get
apply for
another
additional
visa or you have to go back to your own country. So it's very time sensitive, and I really think that I need to really be able to stay here. So I really think going back to school is a good thing, and I'm looking for to do a STEM degree where you can get 1 year OPT and you can extend it up to 3 years. So that's currently my plan. So yeah.
So Michelle said to me that she wanted to do that, and I said, okay, so how do I find someone else that has perfect pitch, that can transcribe anything, that, you know, everybody that works for me has to have perfect pitch. And she says, I have this friend, Carol, who Aaron was
He's
friends
really-
with.
Yeah.
Or
Well,
did you say Carol?
No, she said Carol.
I'm not friends with.
No, I,
So Carol and Michelle were friends, were friends at Berkeley, and Carol was in Boston finishing, you just finished your degree in December.
At the end of last year, yeah.
Yeah, so then Michelle called Carol, Carol and I video chatted,
Yeah.
and then Carol moved down here and started working when?
March 10.
Okay, March 10th. So, now Carol has a degree, unlike them, in film scoring, or
In
film
music
composition,
business.
and music business. So ultimately, Carol wanted to move into that field. So she's been working here for the last 4 or 5 months, and has wanted to get into film scoring. So I reached out to a friend of mine in Los Angeles, who's a music producer, Greg Wells, and Greg introduced Carol to some people, and Carol is actually moving to Los Angeles this coming week, or next week.
Next week, yeah.
And we are very sad about this. And so, but she's gonna get work with a film composer, and this is what she wants to do. And I'm all about helping people try to do
That's
what
right.
they want to do.
Thank you, Rick.
That's how the music business works, though. I'm old school
Yeah.
Italian. One hand washes the other, you know. Once you're family here, you're always family. But the reality of the situation is very different in some ways from when I went to school. But in other ways, it's not that different. I graduated with my undergraduate degree in 1984, long before any of them were born. And I didn't know what I wanted to do my senior year of college. So what did I say? Well, I'm better go to grad school, because that's what you did if you didn't know what you wanted to do.
I know what I want to do.
Well,
Come on.
No, but that was then. If you
Yeah.
had no idea, well, you knew what you wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I was like, okay, I'll go to grad school and put it off for a couple years. So I went and got my master's degree. And then I got lucky enough to get a college teaching gig right out of getting my master's degree, which led me to do that for 5 or 6 years. And then I went on, and those of you that watch my channel know the rest of that story. But there were obviously a lot more opportunities in the music business then. There was actually a music business, which really doesn't exist. There used to have you know, there would be A&Rs people at record labels where they'd have 25 A&R people in all different genres of music.
Yeah.
That made, you know, the head of A&R would make, for Warner Brothers would make 750 grand a year, and A&R people would, you know, make $300,000 a year. I mean, these jobs just don't exist anymore. Now they have people just doing research. Oh, here's a band that's got 1 million views on a song. Let's check them out. You know, let's sign them to a 360 deal. So when it comes to that's what passes for A&R nowadays is pretty much research. So those jobs in the music business were available, and you know, obviously the other kinds of jobs, being a musician that plays gigs for a living, being a music teacher, you could intern at studios in the same way, but you didn't have to necessarily intern for free back then. I mean, they still had that. That was still a thing, but generally those things would actually turn into working on sessions that you would get paid for. Because I have friends that are producers that, many of which are my age, and they started interning at studios, and that's how they got in the business. I'm talking about people that are, you know, successful people. But nowadays, because of the internet, you don't have to do that, and that's one of the really amazing things about that. Those of you that are watching this right now are watching this because we've built a community together. They've helped me build this community with all of you watching, and that's a really incredibly powerful thing. You're not beholden to anybody when you do this.
I mean, ultimately, the message is a really positive one. The old roots are either dead or going out of existence, but this gives everyone access to everybody, and it's just merit based. I mean, if you're good, people are gonna see you, and you can make it in whatever field.
Yeah, and also think of being in the music industry isn't always have to be that way, like, okay, doing internships and all that. Like Aaron, now you do like coding, like you're making your own platform and all that. And me, I really think what makes me want to go back to school is thinking that actually, like, musicians aren't getting paid enough from Spotify and all those online platforms, but what's really growing is the platform itself. So that's why I want to learn more on the platform. So that's why I'm going back to school for that. So basically, you can approach music in a different way, not necessarily leaving music, but you know, I think that's the revolutionary way.
And
Music industry.
for Carol, for example, to get into film scoring, you have to be into film scoring. And tell them about some of the stuff that you're doing
So,
in your spare time that you've been doing.
yeah, so I've been really thankful about landing this thing with you, and thanks to Michelle too. Apart from learning about the platform, I've been lucky enough to get several film scoring gigs, which I have to work remotely, which is also something that's thanks to the internet,
Right.
once again. But yeah, apart from like how beneficial the internet has been, I've been, I don't know, people have been telling me, oh, you still need to at least try it out in LA to actually make these connections, because it's true. The composer that I'm meeting with in LA, he didn't really it didn't feel like it was gonna be a thing until I told him that I was gonna be in LA. He just didn't feel like I should go relocate to some other place just for this job. So it's,
I mean, I told her that she needed to go. If you're gonna do this, you need to go, because
Yeah,
nobody's
yeah.
gonna hire you unless you're there.
Right.
yeah.
Period.
Yeah, but I'm still very optimistic with, I mean, YouTube is a great platform. I'm hoping film scoring will grow more on YouTube. I mean, it's hard because sometimes you want to show the pictures alongside with your music, but you can't really because blockers or copyright issues. But, hey, you know, but yeah, we'll see.
By the way, speaking of blockers, if you go to the Instagram TV, I tried out a video today with a little Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
I'm trying some of the blockers. I did the Eagles yesterday, so sign up for my Instagram. Aaron found the list of all the blockers, and we were going over it yesterday, and it's pretty much every big band that I want to make videos on.
Some surprisingly aren't. Some
Yeah,
are,
but most
most.
are, and some of it is a song by song.
Yeah.
Some songs you can actually use, and some songs you can't. Okay, so go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say we should take some questions.
Right.
Turn to the phones, as they used to say.
Let's go to the phones. Okay, so what do we got here?
All right, questions, guys?
Carol leaving is just sad. Well, that's your opinion.
Ouch.
Oh, Brett.
I told Carol she had to be in the video yesterday. I said that Michelle is in one of my biggest videos, my audio file or audio fool, which is gonna hit 500,000 views probably today. So
Okay.
So we're gonna see
So-
see if the video that Carol was in yesterday can reach that far.
Rick is Beato.
Brett,
Here.
when
Hi,
I took a
Brett.
tour of Berkeley last year, so much technology was leaning towards virtual reality. Can you discuss what you think of VR, how VR fits into music? Very good question, Brett. Aaron?
Me?
Not very familiar with it, but I do have some.
Virtual reality, how's it fit into
friends.
music?
Okay, the worst thing is when we graduated, all the cool things they're coming to Berkeley. You know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's true. I think virtual reality we're really early. Obviously, it's going to be a really big thing, but I mean, like 5-10 years from now, they're still
Yeah.
developing. I think in terms of music and audio, 3D audio is what's going to be really interesting about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna be the future.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
So, yeah.
they're developing those 3D microphones that not only capture the spatially like this, but also this axis, and and they're coming up with all kinds of technologies how you can hear with specific headphones or like moving around, and that'll be really
Yeah.
interesting. But it's really
Like
early.
binaural kind of thing.
Yes.
Now, that is something to, I mean, for those of you that are young, that's something to look to. I mean, that is, those are technologies of the future that people that get into those now will be able to, if you're good at it, that's something that you can get, really get a jump on.
Yeah.
Jay, you're a VR developer. There you go.
Oh. In the music business.
Wait, in the music business, some end up reciting "Welcome to McDonald's" in perfect pitch.
Video games is an interesting point to jump off of here too. I mean, video games. That's a big market, and it's getting bigger and bigger, especially
Yeah.
for composers, right?
Game scoring.
You
yeah.
know about this.
Well,
and-
not really, but a lot of. I mean, in the film scoring at Berkeley,
Yeah.
they separate it into film and games.
Mhm.
It's such a big it's definitely a growing industry there.
There's a video I did with a guy named Brian Schmidt. I did a sounding off with him, who runs, what is it, GameCon, I think it is, he does a video gaming conference, and it's really informative. He talks about the development of writing for video games. He started writing for pinball machines back in the 80s, and has worked on many, over 130 games. And he in that video that we did, the sounding off that we did, he talks at length about the history of this and where it's going. And now you'll have a video game that'll have a $50 million budget, where they'll budget, $1 million for the music. And they get big composers to do these things nowadays, people that do film scoring.
Yeah.
This guy is asking about Amin, is that how you say that? Pursuing a job as some sort of music executive, is that still worthwhile? Or with the advances in artists producing and promoting themselves more and more? Well, it depends. Like, indie labels are making it. I mean, they're popping up everywhere. Just people helping just a smaller group of artists grow, and that, I guess, that could be a job for it. But what do you mean by music? Are you trying to get a job at, I don't know?
Major.
There's
Major
very
label.
few jobs for music executive jobs. A lot of the people that I know that are, one of my best friends, Jake Ottman, he's a senior VP at RCA Records. And Jake has been in the business since 1992 or something like that. He ran a thing called Dedicated Records that was part of Arista. It was an indie label that he was running in the 90s. And then he was a manager. He managed my old band, and then he was with EMI Music Publishing for 18 years. And now he's been with RCA for a few years. And these are the people that are working that are that actually have jobs that are paying more than 20 grand a year. And some of these jobs in New York City, people are making, lower level people, they make $30,000 a year and they live in New York City. And so you can imagine
Right.
that's nothing. That doesn't go anywhere here in Atlanta. So I would say really you need to go, go out on your own. Since people can develop their own, can develop a career on their own through the internet, those jobs are really almost pointless, or they're almost impossible to get. There's very little opportunities at the top levels of these things. It's usually people
Yeah.
that have been working for the labels forever. Okay, Jason asked, what is the best way to stand out as a new artist? By doing this right here with
Super
Big
Chat?
Green and Super Chat.
Super chat, guys.
The best way to stand out as an artist is honestly to be great. That's,
And different, like
and
outstanding.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Persistent. Is that a good one?
persistence is
Persistence.
good.
yeah.
No,
Persistent
definitely.
is a thing, but being different
Wow.
is what makes you stand out, right?
If you're different, but you're not really putting
Persistent and
yourself out
different.
there. Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah.
I mean, all three of them are exceptionally great musicians, and that pains me to say. I'm just kidding. No, they are exceptionally good musicians, and that is what that is how you get by and how you advance in your career in music is by being exceptional. But
Right.
part of being exceptional is having incredible work ethic. And as old as I am, these young whippersnappers know that I can outwork most people that are in their early 20s. My obsessive compulsive disorder. Let's see here, what else? Can I do a Journey song? Yes. Amadeo, a friend of mine.
Perfect pitch game.
Pushing people into gaming composition. Comments. You think that they're pushing people into gaming composition?
Who's
Carol?
they?
He said this, a friend of his owns a recording school in Canada.
At Berkeley, are we talking
No.
about?
Well,
In general?
I mean, there's jobs popping up for that left and right, so I think
Yeah,
it's a good
Definitely.
good
Like
idea
in
to.
Seattle.
Yeah,
Canada.
Seattle is a big but it's not just music. It's sound effects. It's
Also a little bit of coding
yeah.
as well.
It's
You
it's
have to know-
required.
yeah.
You gotta know when the cue starts. When the character walks into what place.
Every button, every single
right.
thing you click, interactions with the.
It's an interesting job. I mean,
That's it.
it combines Foley and mixing and programming and just composition.
Well, that's an interesting point that Aaron brings up, though, that your ability to do many things well is the key to being successful in music. It's
Like
not,
old traits.
for me, it wasn't enough to be a producer. I could play any instrument on any record better than any of the bands. I mean, that's not saying a lot. I mean,
That is.
I could engineer everything. I could mix everything. I could write songs.
After.
So when a label hired me, they knew that I could do everything. If the songs needed work, Rick's got it. The guys aren't that good of players in the band, Rick will play the stuff. If it's a one-stop shop. Here's the budget that we have, especially when the music business really started on its downturn around 2005, where the budget started going down. That's one of the reasons that I built the studio and started doing. I had to think ahead. Well, where's the music industry going now?
And you did that instinctually, right?
I did it
Yeah.
instinctually. I just saw. I'm always thinking, okay, what's coming down the road? You always have to be thinking ahead. Now, Aaron's skills all of them can do. Aaron's incredibly good with coding. He's a genius with that. But all of them have skills with coding. They can. When it comes Photoshop, all of them. Final Cut Pro, they all can run Final Cut Pro better than me, and they never had any experience with
This
it
is all
before.
because of internet.
This is all
Yeah,
You
because
know
of
how,
internet.
how I always look up things.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I had to figure out this right before you got here today. The clip gain thing was on in my Jimi Hendrix thing, and,
Yeah.
and the bar was on there, and I couldn't remember how to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So Carol looked it up.
Control Shift hyphen.
This is another skill, being able to find all the relevant information that you need, and like this, you don't have to read manuals or anything.
Yeah.
You need to know what to Google and where to find it, and that's that. I I mean, that's an invaluable skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody was asking about songwriting and copyright, and I think that's more in your wheelhouse a little bit, but he was asking how something is copywritten after he wrote a song. And as far as I understand it, I mean, you write the song, and if you're in America or in the US, it's copywritten instantly.
It is.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, they don't, the days of mailing in your lead sheet to and a cassette to the Library of Congress are over. When it's been written, that's what we used to do in the old days, yeah, and people used to hire people that could write a lead sheet, because most people that wrote songs couldn't write a lead sheet out, they couldn't.
They, I mean,
They should
I would
hire
say
us.
some people at Berkeley can't even, some people are still learning that and
Yeah.
they're having problems.
So that's,
So it's also like the willing to learn, that's what's important, like something that we need to talk about too. Like,
yeah.
what makes you stand out is like you want to learn and you're persistent, that's, yeah.
And so I was really amazed at their abilities to navigate any kind of program that they needed to. I mean, Aaron instantly knew how to do all these different things in Final Cut Pro using shortcuts that I still don't know how to do. And they all make fun of me because I never look anything up. I just do it brute force way as
I know,
as
you
they go.
introduced me to Final Cut Pro, but now I'm more pro than you.
Okay. All right, easy now.
Oh,
No, but that's another thing. I mean, when I was first Skyping with Rick when I was still in Boston, I mean, I was really nervous in front of, like, before the conversation and stuff. But he asked me all these questions. He was like, "Okay, what do you use to notate?" I said, "Sibelius." He was like, "Good." "What do you use for recording?" "Pro Tools." "Okay, good." "Do you know how to use Final Cut?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And then as soon as the conversation was done, I got on the internet and started learning it. I mean, that's the other thing. You say yes, and then you get on it and you start learning it. And you can nowadays. You don't need to go to school and get a degree in Final Cut. You just figure it out and then you
Yeah.
do the job.
Well,
Thanks, Google.
they both use Finale, even though they can figure out Sibelius as well. But I said, like Carol sent me, you sent me actually some of your scores, so I could see what your, how sophisticated, because some of the stuff we do is very sophisticated. They would do transcriptions of film scores or whatever it may be. And it's, some of the stuff is incredibly sophisticated that you guys transcribed. And it's easy for them. They're so fast. And that's just,
see, even with that, we get faster as we help
Yes.
them.
Yeah.
And we've never would have known that we would be transcribing these, like yesterday we did the Incubus, and that's not as easy as it seems. And then I was just like, yeah, and then I learned, along the way I learned new shortcuts, how to do
Yeah.
things, how to fix things here and there. So,
Yeah.
A lot of these questions are very repetitive. A lot of these questions are asking about, can you make it without being on a label, or can you make it without having a degree? And I think the answer is the same in both cases. I mean, yes, you
Yes.
can. Maybe you won't get all of the jobs that you may get with a degree, but so what? You have so much on at your fingertips. So definitely, with the label, I mean, we just talked about it. Just get out there, start recording yourself. If you're an artist, go to some open mic nights, film yourself, and then put it on YouTube.
Put it on YouTube, make videos of, make interesting videos of your life if you
Yeah.
have an interesting life. You have to be interesting though.
Right, and then the art of presentation comes in too. I mean, a YouTube video,
Flow.
getting 1,000 views is hard.
It's very hard.
Yep.
When I started my channel, I used to feel, it was funny because people would put in the comments, wow, this is a great video. I can't believe that it has so few views or you have so few subscribers. Nobody wants to comment on a video that has no comments. And for those of you that have followed my channel since the beginning, thank you. Those of you that put in those first comments on the videos, that's how people get started in this. It doesn't start out where you've got 400,000 subscribers to your channel. You get one person at a time through communicating with them.
Somebody asked how many interns has Rick hired recently without a degree from Berkeley, trying to make the point that essentially you still just hired from Berkeley, but that's not true.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just happened to.
Right.
Well,
Rhett,
because we're all connected.
Well, yeah.
we're all connected.
I mean,
but-
Rhett doesn't have his degree, has a degree from AIM,
and Ken is.
and Ken has a degree from Full Sail.
Right.
So, yeah.
But those, you know, honestly, their degrees don't mean anything,
No.
really.
he.
I mean, what do you needed, other than Sibelius, or what did you do in your degree that you needed to do here?
I mean,
Well,
it's,
I guess some of the
yeah.
you know, piano stuff, you're
Well,
probably,
that's not really what I learned at Berkeley. I mean, that's if you're good at your instrument, but I mean, just some of the programs and stuff, and just how some things work and work together, and that's obviously good to learn. But there's nobody that says that you can only learn that at a certain school.
that's right.
Yeah.
I didn't learn anything in it, and all the stuff that I learned at school, I forgot 30 years ago. No. Everything that I do on a day-to-day basis, for the most part, are skills that I picked up in the last 2 years. All the filming, I never ran a camera before. I never used Final Cut Pro. I taught myself Pro Tools when I started producing. I taught myself how to engineer by reading magazines and asking questions. I didn't need to go to a school to do that. They didn't need to go to a school to do this.
I used to think that everything that you learn in school, like, okay, you need to go to school in order to have certain skills and all that, but essentially, after you graduate, that's when you learn something. You learn to stand on your own, and then you learn new things every day. You basically, you know, I would say you wouldn't need the degree for.
Right. But they're making the point here that it's also about connections, and
Yeah, I
that's
was
that's
gonna say
definitely true.
That's
so
true.
Berkeley is actually the connections,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's very.
But I mean, the connection here is Aaron emailing me. That's the connection.
Yeah, and then I know these lovely ladies, but that's how you do it, right?
No, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And I'm not gonna hire somebody that doesn't know someone that I know.
Yeah. Again, connections.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So, question about blockers. Wait, I always love questions on blockers.
Bloggers.
Um,
Here.
why a YouTube channel like Polyphonic can upload episodes of Jimi Hendrix music considered fair use and you not? Doesn't sound fair to you. I don't know about that channel. So, I have no idea about it, so.
Yeah.
I know when they take down my videos that they take them down, so. Jeff Skunk Baxter, you guys don't know who he is, but he was the original guitarist in Steely Dan. And he was in the Doobie Brothers. He didn't go to school to become a national defense expert. He did it through research of his own, becoming proficient at it. He was interested in, I guess, missile technology. And I remember one time, I was working at the Village Recorder in Los Angeles, and I saw it, and I said, "That's Skunk Baxter, right?" He said, "Yeah," and he was wearing a gun. And I said, and I was like, that's really weird. So same day, I saw him come down through the lobby and just take off running, and I was like, that's weird. Where's he going? He said, oh, he's some type of nuclear defense expert, and he occasionally has to go out and do things. So I Googled him, and this was an interest that he had on his own, and he's, he learned things on his own, and this is a second career that he had beyond playing guitar in two massively big bands. So yeah, you can learn things, and
I mean, yeah, the examples are endless.
Yeah.
If you think about people like Elon Musk, who just taught himself rocket engineer,
right.
it's like, yeah.
Do you think AI-based mastering services are replacing actual mastering engineers? I think that,
That's a joke, honestly. The same way you can't replace mixing engineers or producers, or at the end, are you gonna ask, are musicians gonna be replaced? No. I mean, it's just the human touch, it's like the emotion you put into it. What do
Yeah.
you think?
what do I think? Yeah, I agree with that. But, some things have been replaced, whether it's for better or worse. For example, a lot of time, tube amplifiers or amplifiers. So I was just saying, we just froze for a second. I think that, some things, just because of the cost benefits are, if it's difficult to take a tube amplifier out on the road. break easily, they're heavy. I have a new tube amp that came that's, 65 pounds just for the head, and an Axe Effects weighs 2 pounds. And it's got all your presets and it's gonna sound the same way in every place. Whether it sounds better than a real amp is another question, but, some things are done just because of, you're saving money, so those are always considerations, so maybe AI will take over. Whether it's better or not, whether it's worse or not. Okay. Still teaching you how to make 2-inch tape before, does that sound good, anyone? Hey, I still record on tape when I was recording. Tubes are for studios and rock stars, there you go.
So here's a question that is directly for Rick. Any tips to stay energetic throughout the day?
I drink coffee all day.
Starbucks, thank you.
Woo!
Woo!
Come on, man, that can't be the secret.
Oh,
Everyone drinks coffee, but you still work from 6 a.m. to midnight every day.
I
So.
love it.
He's just so.
I'm a what? I'm a workaholic.
No,
I
yeah,
hate vacation.
come on.
Said no one ever.
I hate vacation.
No one ever except Rick.
I'm the only person that hates vacation. And to me, like the idea of sitting on a beach is the absolute most boring thing in the world. Unless I'm with my kids and they want to go do that, then I do it.
Do it
But
for the kids, okay?
I do it for the kids. But other than that, if I didn't have kids,
Admit it, Rick, you had fun.
Peter, I had fun when we were hanging out. I did have fun. That was a fun. Cape Cod part of it was very fun. The whole trip, my whole vacation was very fun. But I'm a workaholic. I can't
Okay.
help it.
Question, where does live sound come into play? Why do we ignore it all in the music business?
We don't ignore it now. It's live sound. I have plenty of friends that do live sound that are incredibly good live sound engineers, and it's I had a band in here recently that I did a song with where all the guys work for the National, the really cool indie rock band, and I think one of the guys was a monitor guy, and the other ones were techs, and I know plenty of people that do that work that work for major label bands and that are either techs, meaning like a guitar tech, a drum tech, a bass tech, monitor engineer, front of house. Those are all great jobs. They're tough jobs, and most of those are gotten through connections.
Yeah.
You get hired through somebody you know, and there's it's amazing. My friend Mike, he will hire somebody that he knows that they can teach the job to, just because he knows that they're a reliable person, even if they don't know that much about teching, for example.
Will, if you're in Atlanta soon, as in this weekend, you should come to the master class.
There you go.
There you
Yeah.
go.
This
It's
So-
this Saturday.
This Saturday, you can sign up for my masterclass. Anybody that lives close to here, tickets are available on my website, rickbeato.com. Also, buy anything on my store today for 20% off. The only way that I can keep doing videos like this is through that. Most of my videos get demonetized, meaning, when I say demonetized, I mean they have ads in front of them, but all the money goes to the artists, because I use other people's music in here, which is totally fine. I rely on you, purchasing things from my store, frankly. That's how I make a living for my family. That's how I employ them.
Right.
So everything's 20% off, and the code is RB719, today's date. So for the next 24 hours, 20% off. So I think that's good. If any of you have any questions and any questions that pertain to me or Carol, Michelle, or Aaron, leave them in the comments section, and they will check back and answer them as well. So thank you so much. And we're gonna miss Carol when she leaves. She's leaving on Wednesday next week, and I'm very sad about it. So
I'll try to come in the live streams once in a while.
perfect.
Online.
Okay, thank you all.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone.
We'll see you. Go to flat5.com,
Do it.
FLATFIV.com. Check
Make
it out.
some money.
All right, see ya.